bigger,
better, stronger.
New Exway Flex ER coming up right after this intro. Alright guys, let's just jump directly into the unboxing. Okay guys, here it is. Exway unboxing experiences are always good, and this is no exception. Here it is, the Exway Flex, more on that later. Inside this big box, we also have a smaller box, and on it, look at this, a letter in black and gold, and this looks beautiful already. Inside it, there is a letter from the Exway team thanking you for purchasing this board. We also have a quick start guide, stickers, and the instruction manual. Here is the classic Exway title in orange. We have the remote control with a wrist strap and an Allen key and charger for the remote. We also have the power brick and 3 power cables for the different regions on the wall. Last but not least, we also got a wristband. Here it is, Exway Flex ER. Now let's take a closer look and talk about the design on this board. Now the deck is a little bit bigger than before, and the one thing that is really different from the Exway Flex original is that the concave is not as aggressive. You can see that. It's a lot more gentle concave, and that's probably the biggest update for me because as much as I love the original Exway Flex, that concave will get me really tired on my legs and my feet after riding like, I don't know, 10 kilometers. So it was awesome for carving, but it was a bit too much concave. Now it's just perfect. The other thing that got redesigned is the grip tail. You can see it here and right there, so that gives you better access to the screw in case you want to remove the tracks, maybe mount a razor or mount some feather slide. That will be very easy to do right now. But the way is you interested in feather slide, link in the description down below. We also have bumpers both in the front and in the back, and that protects your decks and gives it a much longer life. And here it is, the star of the show, the big battery. Now that's a big case, there is no way around it. You can see it from any angle. This is a big battery. Of course it's gonna have a bigger case, way bigger than the original Exway Flex, and in general I would say one of the biggest battery case I've seen on any board. It doesn't bother me, it looks alright. Yeah, and it's not too heavy. That's the one thing that surprised me. I was expecting this to be heavy, but it's not. You can see here charging ports, and this is one of the little details that Exway does better than anybody. They're like these high quality charging ports, easy to open, easy to close, water resistance. These are the details that you don't usually see till you get the board and you compare it to other boards, and Exway is just so good at it. By the way, I like the detail that they put stickers here indicating where is the charging port and where is the power button. That's probably because after the Exway X1 Max I had the charging port on the track and everybody was like scratching their hair. We're like, how do I charge this port? It took me a while to find that port. Now, the other thing that I would like to mention on this is like they now have some small details, like they have some writing on the tracks. So they write proprietary forging and CNC process. So those are the 3 tracks best in the industry. Simple as that. There is no other way to say it. I feel like they could get a little bit longer in some case scenarios, but yeah, when it comes to carving and the whole experience of riding the board, it's just so good. So I can tell you right now, the riding experience is gonna be awesome, even without even testing this board. But yeah, I'm gonna go test it very soon, don't worry about that. The wheels are the classic Exway 85mm 76A durometer, so they're a little bit smaller and softer than the industry standard, which is usually 90mm 70AA or 80AA durometers, and in my opinion also one of the best wheels in the market. Now I have the hub motors version, so this comes in both hub or belt, and the hub motor is perfectly fine for me. I like it because I know I get the exact same amount of power when it comes to Exway hubs, same as belts. It's no difference on power. And the one thing here is that we have a hub motor sleeve. And the problem with that is that there is less PU material, so if you go over some rough terrain, you might feel it a little bit more. And also one problem that I have with my Exway X1 Pro is that these sleeves do not last me too long. They go for around 800 to maybe 1,000 kilometers, and then you might need to replace them. I'm over 200 pounds and the roads in the area where I live, they're just so bad. So maybe that's why. Now let's take a quick look here at the remote. It has motor detection. So if I turn this on, you can see that it will turn on the board. And if I turn it off, the same will happen. It has a very small screen. This is the classic Exway remote. It indicates something like speed, battery remaining on the board and remote, the direction, the gear, and simple stuff like that. And I guess it's time for me to go out there and ride this baby. All right, let's go. As usually, Exway did not disappoint. This board performs pretty good, and of course there are a lot of upgrades from the previous board. So first let's talk about the riding experience. The deck is made of a flexi composite of bamboo, fiberglass and maple. The deck is a lot more comfortable than the previous Exway Flex, and it is maybe one of the most comfortable decks in any longboard period. It just feels really good. And when it comes to the tracks, everybody knows that Exway tracks are about the best you can get on any electric skateboard longboard. They just feel very good, especially for carving and turning. And even though it's really good for carving and turning, don't you worry, it is actually very stable at high speed. The deck, as you can imagine, is flexible, it's a flexi deck, but compared to the previous Exway Flex, it is not flex as much. Here you can see I'm jumping on top of the board, and the level of flexibility is good, but it's not so bouncy like before. We also have concave, but before the concave was way too strong. This is a lot more gentle, way more comfortable. Many of you already know that Exway and Hobbywing, they're kind of like partner companies, so you can expect the best riding experience because they have the best Hobbywing ESC that you can possibly have on any electric skateboard. And when you're riding, you can feel that this is a very Hobbywing-ish kind of experience. It's just very smooth when you accelerate and when you brake. It is very intuitive and easy to ride for either a beginner or a very experienced rider. With the extra range, we also have a big battery case, and while I was riding, I was a little bit concerned that this battery case will touch some speed bumps and maybe get a scratch. Now, we tested out thoroughly, and when going over speed bumps, it did not touch. It was very close though, but it didn't. And by the way, I'm a pretty heavy rider, and somewhere around 200 pounds. So yeah, you can be pretty relaxed about that. It's okay. But when I did drop off a curb, well, it did touch, just a little bit, and it got a little bit of scratch. Surprisingly though, even so, we have a really big battery with a lot of range. The weight did not increase by much, it's just 8.2 kilograms, which is pretty decent for a longboard, especially with a longboard with such a long range. You can also pull it from the tracks like you would with most longboards, and if you have to carry it, well, it's relatively comfortable to carry around. And don't forget that if you buy this board before the end of June, you get a free Exway backpack, which, by the way, a review, you can click right there. Definitely, without any doubt, the best electric skateboard backpack you can buy right now, without any doubt. Premium, as it should. The 85mm wheels are one of the best in the market, and they felt pretty comfortable even when going over very bad terrain. And they have motors. Really, no complaints. I will be complaining about that because I have these wheels on my previous Exway X1 Pro, and they do feel a little bit hard, but that's a stiff deck. This is a flexible deck, and yeah, it did not feel bad at all. I did not feel my legs tired. When over cracks on the road, it performs pretty good. When it comes to carving, this board is second to none. The 3-strike 45-degree angle, they're fantastic, and they use, I don't know, I think the pushings that they use, they're just so good, very high rebound, and while you're carving and turning it feels really good, and maintain pretty good stability at high speed. When it comes to performance, this board is pretty decent. The acceleration and braking, in my opinion, they felt a little bit soft, especially the braking. Here you can see a braking test in which I reached a speed of 30 km per hour, and it took me somewhere around 15 meters to come to a complete stop. This board can reach a speed of 45 km per hour, which for me is more than enough. I usually cruise at 35, 40. 45 is a bit too much, but some people really like speed. They're gonna be very happy with that top speed. But today standards are pretty much about the same, so any electric longboard will probably get to 45 km per hour. When it comes to acceleration, if I compare it to some of my other electric longboards, it's more or less on par. I guess I was expecting more power considering that it has such a big battery. Something that I noticed while riding is that the remotes have new materials. It's now made of a glossy plastic, and compared to all the previous Exway remotes that they were like a rubberized material that feels really good to the touch, but they get scratched very easily. So I'm not sure if this is an upgrade or a downgrade, but I kind of like it. If you're not familiar with Exway electric skateboards, I gotta say it's probably one of the only companies that do have an app where you can do firmware upgrades, so you can upgrade the brakes, the acceleration, you can also adjust for different wheel sizes, and you get a lot more information. I will probably do like a complete video review of this app because it is very interesting and also very unique. No other companies do this. Now let's talk about the star of the show, the big battery. So it is extended range ER, and that's what's actually very unique about this board, is that the range is actually pretty darn good. We have a 345 watt battery, and that, as you can expect, will give you a lot of range. So they claim 45 kilometers. In my first test, I got somewhere around 38 kilometers, mostly on commuting on the city, flat terrains, and the roads were pretty bad, but they were mostly flat. There were a few hills here and now and there, but very soon my assistant Michael will run a full-on range test, and it will make sure to document the whole experience, so stay tuned for that video. There are two chargers that you can use to charge your Exway Flex ER. There is a standard charger that came with the board that will charge the board from 0 to 100 in 3.7 hours, and then you have the quick charger that charges the board in only 2.3 hours. This battery is not just big, it's also smart. So you probably already know that on electric skateboards, like most other devices, you cannot fully charge them all the way if you're not going to use them, or being completely empty while you store them, it might damage the battery. Well, the Exway Flex ER, same as the original Exway Flex, have like a smart feature that if you fully charge it and you don't ride it for let's say a couple of weeks, the battery will automatically decrease by itself, similar to the smart batteries on the DJI drones. So that feature alone is already very unique and special. Alright guys, in conclusion, Exway have done it again. It makes one of the best electric longboards in the market yet again, and this time with a lot of range. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm never gonna ride in a single day that much. So I get that range, at least in my personal case scenario, it's gonna be so I can, ride it one day and then the next day and then in a different day without worrying so much about charging it every night. So at least for me, I know there is some people who would like to ride for like a really long time, but after like 25-30 kilometers, I get very tired. So I don't think I can ever get the whole range in a single day. At least that's for me in particular. And yeah, this board is just premium as any other Exway electric skateboard, so it's gonna highly recommend it. Remember that if you're watching this video on June, you get a free backpack that is really amazing. So make sure to click in the link in the description down below, use code GABY. All the information is down in the description. And if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll catch you up on the next video.
Fuck. Getting into it. I got myself wet. My leg is off the board already.